Hi everyone, this is a TiiQu network event. Today we are here to talk of innovators in the metaverse space. I'm proud to be together with Alex Lee, organizer of the event, and an exceptional panel of presenters who will be talking about how they innovate in the metaverse space. Just a few words for those of you who don't know about TiiQu. TiiQu network is all about trust. Well, we all in business need trust in people and trust in content, and it's very, very hard to identify a way or what is true and what is not. And that is exactly the focus of TiiQu. We build technologies that enable trust, but most importantly, we try to facilitate collaboration and co-creation. The major commitment of TiiQu today is to facilitate knowledge sharing through these events and facilitate the co-creation of knowledge through Copedia, which is a non-profit project that aims to crystallize the latest available knowledge into bite-sized knowledge in the form of questions and answers. Basically, a Wikipedia of questions and answers. If you do have expertise in a specific topic, please do join, do your bit, and help us to democratize the access to knowledge, which is the starting point for building a knowledge-based identity, which will facilitate a trust on the labor market and in collaboration without boundaries. So without any further delay, I leave the stage to Alex Lee, who together with our speakers will present what is the present and the future of the metaverse. Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much to everyone for participating. Thanks.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our roadshow. It is a great time. This is our second effort. That previously we have 10 innovators presented, and today also we have distinguished speakers and innovators in metaverse space, and they will present their innovation. And we will have for example, they represent all the continent. We have, for example, speakers from North America, South America, and also like a European country, and also even the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, in Asia, even the Far East in the South Korea is great, right? So I will share my screen to give you some introduction of what we're going to do today. Okay, so as you see that we have 9 presentations today. And then I will give you the schedule. So, and shortly after my introduction, I will organize, moderate the presentation part 1. So we have 5 presentation at the part 1, and each speakers will spend 15 minutes. This times 15 minutes include the Q&A session. So you have in mind that about 10 minutes, you try to finish up until like a few minutes more, and then you can take a Q&A in live. Or the best way is to audience can leave a question in the chat. So, and after your presentation, so you can take care of the particularly for asking for your presentation, then you can give answers through the chat. And after these 5 presentation, we'll have a short-term break. Like I will introduce another session. So and then in the presentation part 2, Isabella Wang will moderate for another like part 2 presentations. So at the time we'll have a 4. So we will remind you later. So without any delay, so we'll start our main event. So we will start from the Alexandr Landa. And then he will talk about AKIVA. AKIVA is a metaverse, is an immersive learning platform. So I will start my sharing, and then okay. So Alex, could you start first?
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. And thank you, audience, for having me. Just sharing my presentation file with you. I know we have 10 minutes, and this is what we're going to talk about, AKIVA Metaverse. So what is really AKIVA Metaverse, right? A lot of very astute scholars and venture capitalists and nowadays actually struggle to conceptualize the actual use cases where Metaverse and specifically Web3 is going to produce the value for humans on this earth. Well, I have no problems doing that, and I will do it in 10 minutes. Basically, an intersection of three major technology-driven shifts: education technology, edtech, health tech, medtech, and the metaverse. And what is an AKIVA Metaverse? Is actually a platform that is already built, it's functioning, it has 10 worlds that we've built. You know, if you like dragons, you can be in the world of dragons. If you like space, you can be in the world of space, and so on. We have multiple avatars, over 200 digital objects, 46 learning modules. We've onboarded over 1,076 users worldwide. But most exciting is that we have analytics, machine learning, predictive and prescriptive behind the metaverse, so that the interactions that you make inside of the metaverse could help you achieve certain objectives. And I will talk in a little bit what those objectives are specifically for us. So we focus on a very specific niche, which is called neurodiversity, or people who are neurodivergent. Oh, for those of you who don't know, neurodivergent individuals are those who have autism or ADHD, or combination of those, dyslexia, Tourette's, Alzheimer's, and a few others, right? So those are individuals that we service, and cater to, right? But then, as we successfully building our services towards them, and I will show you in a moment how and why. Right, there are just a variety of other use cases that exist in digital twin, in education, and healthcare, medtech, and so on, which could be realized and will be realized on our platform. And this is exactly where we're going. So I could not be more excited about the metaverse, what it is today and what it will be tomorrow, right? So let's talk a little bit about why am I talking in front of you and why me? As a kid, I used to remember that I was an avid reader and I really loved to read. Mark Twain was one of my favorite authors, and he said it once that there are two most important days in your life. One is when you're born, and the second day is when you figured out why. So for me personally, that day was actually September 11, 2012, where my son AKIVA was diagnosed with severe autism. So as we went on a journey with my son AKIVA, and we'll continue on the journey, at the time, his diagnosis was very dire. The doctor said he will never speak, he will never be independent, he will never be individualistic, he basically will not have dignity in his life, right? To which I just couldn't take the diagnosis to my heart, and I evolved to find alternative methodologies to actually give my son access to what this beautiful life has for him, right? And as we're going through this journey, AKIVA has become an inspiration to thousands of different families. And one of the reasons why we named our company AKIVA Metaverse is because of the inspiration that he has become, and because of the methodology that we put into AKIVA Metaverse, which resulted in his amazing progress. So despite the diagnosis, AKIVA today is actually not just speaking, he is bilingual. He's going to a mainstream school. He has the best friend. He's an avid reader. He's amazing at math, and he's starting to learn how to program in Metaverse, right? So all of those things that were potentially impossible are actually possible. And as I was going through this journey, and me being a technology professional for my 25 years career, I couldn't help but think how many other parents and individuals that didn't have access, didn't have opportunity, didn't have ability to to get the right resources and to get the skills that are important for individuals like AKIVA to thrive in life, right? And so I got together with two of my co-founders who are also fathers of autistic individuals. So each of us shared the same thing. And then we put together a small friends and family fundraising event that allowed us to hire the best and the brightest team of engineers, graphic designers to build what AKIVA Metaverse is today, right? And we couldn't have done it without the vision and the mission. And as you, the children here on the slide are enjoying being in the AKIVA Metaverse, and they're interacting with the very exciting environment. But while they're interacting, it's important that they're learning and they're getting to the next milestones, and they're on the road to have a successful future, right? And so our goal and our mission has become to ensure that each of the 1.1 billion individuals, this is how many neurodivergent individuals are in the world, have the affordable access to educational system that will enable them to develop their unique abilities to succeed and thrive in life. Talking a little bit about the problem, I mentioned the very large number of neurodivergent individuals in the world, 1.1 billion. That's typically a 15% of population, and all of the studies that we've seen correlate that regardless of the country of your origin or your residence, it is actually correct. There's 15% of population who is neurodivergent, which is a very staggering number if you think about it. So in order to successfully cater to those individuals and to provide them the access to educational system and care, there are three major shifts right now, and that's where the metaverse, AKIVA Metaverse specifically, comes to help. There are significant cost barriers to the meaningful help. The resource intensivity is very high because you have to have a team of specialists, speech pathologists, PT, OT, behavioral specialists, and many others that work with one individuals. And then last but not the least, those individuals that typically collect results in error-prone methods. So there is no systematic approach to it. So these are the three fundamental problems that AKIVA Metaverse resolves, right? How do we do in many different countries, North America is specifically lucky because there is a large number of specialists that dedicate their life and career to help neurodivergent individuals, right? But in countries of Western, Eastern Europe and Asia Pacific, this virtually does not exist. And so the problem is that the families are succumbed to a process where they have to wait months and sometimes years to see a specialist, right? Whereas AKIVA Metaverse can onboard, anyone in a matter of 10 minutes and create a baseline by which our analytic process behind the scenes, our machine learning algorithms will be able to define a specific baseline of these core important skills: sensory, gesture, behavior, attention, communication, speech. And then we create a personalized plan that allows the individuals to achieve evidence-based results in a data-driven way. In other words, when I talk about data-driven, evidence-based use cases, this is a specific example of how we achieve results, right? We use several different learning modules. This particular learning module is called Imitator 2. And in Imitator 2, we teach an individual to draw attention to themselves, which is a specific move and a spoken language that is being used and it's the best methodology, right? So this particular individual here, user ID 28, has been using this module for the average of 5 times per week for 3 months, and we demonstrated 17% improvement. Now, that may seem not like a big deal, but for a parent of an autistic child who does not communicate, I will tell you it's a huge deal in such a short period of time, right? And this is just a very small example of how we provide a specific access and opportunity to improve, to succeed, and to thrive in life. A little bit about our, because this is a technology session, right? So I would like to talk a little bit about the infrastructure that we use. So in the middle, we use the Meta Quest 2 or Oculus Quest 2 that's built by Meta, also known as Facebook. It's the device that the kid behind me is wearing. This is how we deliver the experience, the virtual reality experience, right? We also use several enterprise tools to manage the identity within different areas and subjects, and also enterprise tools to be compliant with HIPAA, GDPR, and so on. Right, so these tools are Okta and PlayFab. We also partner on the technology side with Microsoft Azure, that is our provider for analytics and data storage. We use Unity that allows us portability to different virtual reality headsets should they become better than Meta Quest 2 in the future. And last but not least, we have a mobile platform that's available for parents, grandparents, and individuals around the world, professionals to use and see exactly what's happening at that particular time with this particular individual inside of the metaverse, which is very exciting, right? Very quickly, in terms of the competition, there are 3 competitors that we have in the market. 2 of them, Autism Glass and Brain Power, chose Google Glass as augmented reality platform. Florio has created a mobile app, and they put the mobile app inside of the enclosure, so it's not truly virtual reality or metaverse, but they do have a large library of virtual reality learning modules that are delivered in augmented reality. Having said that, they cannot get the data in the same way we can, and they cannot analyze it the same way we can, and cannot focus on the specific evidence-based improvement use cases, which are speech, imitation, attention, sensory, gestures, and behavior. Right. And now I would like to, just on time, give you a demo and a flavor of how AKIVA Metaverse works. and that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for having me. I know I have about 4 minutes to answer any of your questions, so please let me know if you have questions.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, do you have any question? Is there any question? Yeah, I like your character. You know that my secondary major in industrial like design, and then she designed it very similar to your the characters. I like that. Yeah, I think that the kids will very like it. And then I think that your presentation is very important because one of the key functions that Metaverse can deliver is an immersive experience with engagement and influencing something that the emotional, you talk about storytelling, and then through this like immersive experience and interaction, actually they can influencing the like humans like behavior. And then I think that you use that philosophy to like to make using like, for example, in the like education, also like healthcare. So I think that there is a fantastic area that you already explored. Is there any other question? Yep. Okay, so if you have any question in later, that you can have it your question in the chat. So if you specifically ask to Alex about the AKIVA, and then he will answer for that. Okay, so without any delay, so next we'll have another great Metaverse innovation, William Choi. Yeah, he is from South Korea, so welcome him to. Is a long distance from here. It's 13-hour difference. It looks like here is a very early morning time. So why don't you start now?
Sure. Well, hi everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity and allowing me to speak among a great panel of speakers here, and really looking forward to hearing more. And thank you, Alex, for your previous one. Very interesting. I'm sorry, you know what? I actually prepared for about 14 minutes, so I'm going to try to go and condense it as much as I can, so I could address questions. But anyway, my name is William. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Vinoverse, where we are building a social-fi and GameFi wine discovery app in a Web3 metaverse. So perhaps first I could give you a little bit of a background on myself and how I came to get involved in co-founding the company. First, obviously, I'm a wine lover. I've been a wine enthusiast for many, many, many years now. And during my journey as an entrepreneur, you know, obviously we have all of our ups and downs, and I always found somehow wine always provided me with such a sophistication and enjoyment, where I would find a glass of wine that gave me a little bit of happiness and accomplishment from a hard day's work. And it's not only because I simply like drinking it, it's just that has an enormous amount of history, where I also consider it as a drinkable art, has health benefits, and the world of wine is really part of a high societal sophisticated feel to it. It's social, as people love talking about it, and has passionate communities that does not discriminate between age, gender, or race. And leading to that, no matter who you are, whether you're a beginner in wine or to the most experienced, the world of wine makes you feel really small, because no matter how many years you've been a wine drinker, you're always learning. And now through Vinoverse, you get to learn in a fun and engaging way, because with all the new exciting technologies that exist, and we combine them all into one immersive experience that not only brings people together, but decentralizes the wine buying experience in new and exciting ways, where everyone is a winner in the Vinoverse ecosystem. So as I mentioned earlier, you know, we are creating an engaging AR gamified wine discovery app that ventures into the Web3 metaverse, where retailers, wineries, and wine lovers come together in a tokenized community, where rewards are distributed and earned through scanning wine labels, whether you are in the store, at home, or even at a restaurant or hotel that carries wines as part of their overall menu. Now, there are a lot of different wine apps out there. The most famous one, probably people that drink wine would know it is called Vivino, which is a classic Web 2.0 app, and I tended to use a lot in the past. But the only value I got out of it was really just the reviews and the price of wines. But even the reviews are general, as every person has a different palate and is based on different wine expertise of the drinker. So it could be a first timer who happens to give it a low review, but in fact It's for a certain group of sophisticated drinkers that actually love this particular wine. And so the other issue as well is that the pricing is not localized and based on international pricing. Now, here in South Korea, which is the fastest growing wine market in the world outside of the US, sells wines perhaps twice the price because of the heavy regulations and high alcohol tax. And it frustrates the shop owners because some people would consider that wine store too expensive, and after they do the scan, and end up going to another store, never to have that consumer walk through its doors again. So through the Vinoverse app, everything is customized through the power of AI and localized pricing by tapping into the local database, giving fair market value within that particular country. And that's what Web3 is all about, where our platform is a public domain and defined by the community. Now, if you enjoy wines as much as I do, or even just have the experience of shopping for wines, I'm sure you've all had the experience of walking into a store and being confused by the sheer number of choices, such as the category by country, new and old world wines, category of wines themselves, such as like red, white, rosé, and sparkling. And even within that, you have to choose whether you want a full body like a Cab, sweet like a Riesling, or a rich white or a light red, such as a Pinot Gris or Pinot Noir. And on top of that, you have to assess what you are in the mood for, what kind of meal you're going to have, or whether it's a first date or a special occasion like a graduation or promotion, and how much you'd actually like to budget or spend on that particular day for that particular wine. And stores too are actually really overwhelmed on which wines to choose to put on their limited shelf space, and how to market their wines is challenging as well, and how they face the challenge of trying to get more in-store traffic and trying to explore new ways and innovative ways to market. And wineries are struggling mostly for the lesser known wineries that may have fantastic wines, but don't have the big marketing budget or capacity. And the challenge of how to improve their brand awareness also falls mute. And so the industry in itself overall is actually quite fragmented, where it is still a very mom and pop, sort of old fashioned industry where there's low transparency and lack of engagement between buyers and sellers. Now, wine communities, though very active and flourishing, but as well are fragmented in themselves, with limited engagement between the communities, where and they don't even know that each other exists. And so enter the Vinoverse, where we create an engaging metaverse ecosystem using disruptive technologies that are out there that can enrich the user experience. Now, in the past, we all know that a lot of these technologies were not being optimized simply because it was still too early. The existing technology just couldn't handle the infrastructure or bandwidth of streaming the data seamlessly. So just real quick, what are the technologies that will enrich the Vinoverse user experience? First of all, it's the augmented reality, which is a technology that superimposes objects around us. And then we have the 3D and VR, which allows us to provide virtual tours of wineries without leaving the comfort of your own home. And then you have AI, which provides recommendations and customizations based on the profile of the user. So depending on how a user ranks that their tried wines and provides the reviews and scanned images of the wine label, this will provide users a preferred list of wines that have not been tried, but similar to the ones that they've been drinking and enjoy. And then, of course, you have the blockchain to track and prove the authenticity of products. And of course, the NFTs, which are the product of the future, providing the value and exchange between users. Through first using the power of AR as the entry point into the Vinoverse, where you watch the come to life with a simple scan of a label, while getting the information such as the price and ratings of the wine from the community, and also interact with the community of what kind of wines they would also recommend. So in essence, you're not at the mercy of getting the recommendation of the store manager anymore, or someone that could have completely different palate than you, such as a friend, but you're able to do the shopping all by yourself in an immersive and engaging way. Now, in the app, you'll have the option to travel to selected wineries that subscribe to this feature through a 360-degree VR experience. Now, if the winery so chooses or has already a 360 VR experience, and dive deeper into the story of the winery, as well as you will have the ability to visit the estate right at the store or at the comfort of your own home. And also the wine store, what I like to call, it turns into a wine shopper's Disneyland, where you enter the store, and just like the movie Minority Report, by using our scanner on your phone, and flashes of labels come across the screen begging to be recognized. And once you zero in on a particular wine of interest, immediately you earn rewards just by watching and learning about the wine from the wine label. And if the information is lacking, you could contribute to the database and earn more rewards, and also by submitting reviews yourself. So it's all about a shared and decentralized ecosystem where your earning potential increases through AR content, and also by be recognized for being such a great contributor and wine enthusiast, and transform your rewards into fun and engaging events that we host and run. So as for myself, I'm sure that when you spend money on wine, you want to preserve those memories, or even be recognized for having so much experience. And unfortunately, the current market does not recognize individuals for their purchases, experiences, reviews, or contributions. Now, wine is $500 billion industry, and with about 15 million wines in circulation globally, you can't possibly experience all of them in your lifetime. But as I mentioned before, the wine industry, still being old-fashioned, if I may, is using still traditional ways of marketing, but through AR content, a new avenue for marketing comes available, where now wineries and retailers can directly engage with their customers, or soon-to-be customers, learn the history of this amazing drinkable art, and increase the stickiness and customer retention through engaging content right from your phone. But where you really start to engage into the Vinoverse is the gamification behind it. I'm not sure whether you heard of this ancient term, beer is created by men and wine is created by the gods, where we kind of adopt this story where there is a battle between two sides and trying to save the wines or steal the wines that are in existence. Now, this, of course, there's a story behind it. It's all high level, and you can learn more about it, the details of the game when it's launched, by signing up on our website, as we're still in a few months from launch. But if you stay tuned, I assure you won't regret it, especially wine. To the Vinoverse by choosing which side you want to be on. So what happens is you select your NFT avatar and begin the mission to scan and earn as much as you can, while also acquiring NFT boosters to multiply your earnings and advance your mission to either steal or save the wines on Earth. So the NFT booster is an in-game accessory item that belongs to you and has the ability to increase your earning potential. Now, our mission are for users to become owners of the ecosystem, and they become owners by being rewarded with tokens, and you can use those earned tokens to redeem exclusive benefits, such as to VIP wine events that we host, a pour of limited or rare wines at an event or at the store, receive discounts, and even if you accumulate enough rewards, you'll earn a free bottle of wine or a trip. Most fun and engaging ways we are elevating wineries and their value is working with several wineries right now, as we are currently, is to release limited NFT wine collections that come to life when you buy a limited edition bottle. And this is only available when you have increased your earnings potential to a level that unlocks these rewards and such products. So really the merger between the physical and virtual worlds allows users using tangible assets to make tangible earnings, and also being recognized for being a great advocate, wine advocate, and contributor. So, so the real point is really the engagement and learning of the wines, and then earning. And that's where I came up, how it works in terms of we scan, learn, earn. So you press scan on the app, you learn about the wines through the interactive AR content, you get recommended food pairings that are available in store, also the tasting notes according to the winery or the retailer or the community. You have the choice of where you want to get the opinions of the tasting notes. Or if you enjoy a wine that happened to be shared between friends, you can scan it and it'll show the location of the wine where it can be purchased closest to you. Now, the different game modes here are really interesting. We have a discovery mode, which is probably pretty easy to understand. And I've mentioned this already before, where we're equipping, where users are equipped with NFT boosters to earn tokens by scanning labels and adding them to our database. And then you have action mode, where users are rewarded for specific actions that contribute to the growth of the community and database. And now my favorite, the power of the GameFi, SocialFi, and the Metaverse all come together, is with the treasure hunt mode. The treasure hunt mode is an AR gamified experience in the real world. It's kind of like a Pokemon. So for example, a member wine retailer that's part of our community decides that they want to launch a treasure hunt in their store, which allows users to use our app to hunt for a winning AR label in the store. So you play in the real world by interacting with AR content in search of the winning wine label or wine label NFT, and win either another free bottle of wine, level up in rewards, or again, an invitation to travel to the winery on the house. And so just due to some confidentiality issues, I had to make this pretty simple. And I didn't include the AR just yet, and as we're still in the early stages and in the development. But that said, here's a quick high-level run through the app. And I know it runs through very quickly, but I hope you are able to capture the essence where we are bringing together all the existing disrupting technologies together as one in defining what we believe to be the future of the metaverse, of engagement, gamification, and rewards, while bridging the physical and virtual worlds together in a fun and immersive way. Thank you very much.
Thanks, William. Is there any question about that? I think this is very interesting, yeah, presentation for me. Yeah, actually, I heard about the history of the beer and wine today for the first time. So I didn't recognize that the beer is invented by the human and the wine is.
Well, that's just that's one of the terms that they've used, and I found that really interesting. So.
Yeah, I think that your application is, as you mentioned, a lot of the key components like AI, right, and then also like a gamification, right? And then also like a reward system, combine everything, right, and to provide the fun, right, engagement, right, storytelling, and also like, for example, the augmented reality is a good thing. Is like a lot of the present smartphone actually built-in augmented reality functionality, like Apple or the smartphone like Samsung. So they can actually implementing your app, they can enjoy, right, without any like augmented device, like a expensive device still. So I think that it'll be like a more like a conscious. And then I also like that combined with the loyalty program is very important. And the combined with the NFT is another one thing that because NFT is combined NFT, actually that they provide another value, right? Because not only provide a physical value in the digital value, then sometimes like a digital value is much higher than the physical value, like for example Nike shoes, and then you have a physical shoes and the NFT for the physical shoes, and sometimes the NFT shoes like more expensive than the physical shoes. So I think that you include every aspect of the business that like consumers like. So yeah, it'll be. I think that it'll be successful. I think, and then your like interface is based on smartphone. So I think that is timely and then currently, so we can apply. Is there any question about that? Okay, so thank you for that. James.
I actually have a couple of questions for me.
Oh yeah, but you know that because we have a time limitation. So if you have any questions,
Sean, you can reach out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sean,
could you please leave it in the chat so he can answer you for that?
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Husam. Yeah, he is another one that is from Saudi Arabia. It's an unexpected one because he contacted me and he want to express. I didn't know that he's there. So yeah, I'd like to hear about what is the orbit word. Could you please start?
Yeah, definitely. Is my screen showing?
Yes, good.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, a brief introduction. I'm Husam Yaghi, and I've been in the technology field for the past 35 years or so. I created the first blockchain company in Saudi Arabia back in 2016. And I created few other startups, and I participated along with other co-founders in creating others. I work on the group vice president for Mawarid. Mawarid is a big name in the region. There is Mawarid Holding, which is our mother company. It has 100+ companies. This is the what Wikipedia talks about us. The Mawarid holding has 4 different groups. One at the top is the investment group, which includes American Express. We represent American Express in Saudi Arabia and the Arabian Gulf region, including several other investment companies, the energy also. We have investments in some of the big companies in the petrochemicals, distribution and trading. And the one that I'm concerned most with is the media and communications group. It looks like I have a problem with the internet. Okay, MMCG has about 10 different companies. 4 or 5 of them are in the media, and they all carry the name Orbit, and the rest of them are in telecommunications and technology. The largest is Salam. Salam is one of 3 major telecommunication providers in Saudi Arabia. You asked me about Orbit, where the Orbit comes from. Our share, the holding interest in several international media houses back in the 70s, I believe 1976. We joined with Showtime and we created what is called OSN, which is the Orbit and Showtime network. Orbit, the reason we are different companies because we produce content, shows, movies, and what have you. We provide streaming and other media channels. Okay, so since we have 100+ companies, and there is good synergy between a lot of these companies, we've decided in MMCG to build a metaverse, what we call Orbit World Metaverse. It is virtual, that serves a lot of the real businesses, the brick and mortar businesses that we have. We have them, as you see in this 2-dimensional diagram, they are clustered as districts. So we have the FinTech district, and it will have several companies. One of them is our own, it's called Interactive Smart Financials. Then you have connectivity, Salam is the largest, and so forth. The reason they are districts, because we are also planning to allow our partners to have digital presence in our metaverse. And the reason you see in here in front of this avatar, the Google Maps, because like I said in my title, this is the first commercial metaverse system in Saudi Arabia, and possibly it might be in the region as well, but I know for sure in Saudi Arabia, there are several initiatives for metaverse. But the reason I said it's the first, because it's the first commercial, meaning it is really the physical world, the brick and mortar businesses that we have, along with the virtual. And people, when they come to the city, they can browse the products and they can place an order. And because when the avatar enters, we know the coordinates of the person's house or physical presence if he or she is at work, not at home. So the GPS coordinates are carried all along, and our AI engine in the background keeps track of it. We've decided to model our metaverse after GTA 5, meaning we know it's for business. So we don't want it to be cartoonish, with all respect for other metaverses, but for us, we decided we wanted to be as close to reality as possible. So GTA 5 is the model that we use. So you see the avatar walking into showroom, can check out items, try them out. and then place the order and it gets delivered to his or her house. The Orbit World Metaverse builds on the slogan of the group. Our group, MMCG, the slogan is co-creating the future. And my colleague, Laura, she focused on 2 points. She said collaboration and co-creation of knowledge. And it happened that the slogan of our MMCG group is co-creating the future. There is no need really to fight. There is no need to monopolize technology or the universe. There is plenty of opportunities for everybody. On the contrary, we can create a lot more business and we can create a lot more opportunities for us if we collaborate. Therefore, our metaverse focuses on inclusivity, which means we'd rather the system runs on, we want the system on as many devices as possible, even if we have to lower the quality of the graphics, the video. Definitely the immersive experience may not be the same level depending on the device you use, but at least we don't want to exclude users because in case they cannot afford the high-end devices. We embrace definitely collaboration. We know metaverse systems are extremely expensive to build, time-consuming. Therefore, smaller shops, smaller companies, smaller businesses might want to join. They might want to have presence in the metaverse, but because of the required time and cost, they might think 3 times, 4 times. Therefore, we want to remove that barrier. Since we have a telco company with lots of data centers and several data centers in the kingdom, lots of fiber optics all over the kingdom to houses and financial institutions and companies and government agencies. We have our own fiber optic network in addition to the wireless and the mobile. So we want to capitalize on that. We want to collaborate with partners and other providers, whether business providers or technology providers, so that we deliver a very powerful, practical system. Definitely, every new technology comes with drawbacks, comes with risk, with threats. Therefore, security is one of the main pillars in our system from day one when we started the design. And again, when I reach the Salam, which is our telco company, the Salam slides, I will see why security is natural also for us. And I stated here some of the services that we're using, just for reference. No need to go through each one of them. Also, we created our own cryptocurrency or utility to be used within our metaverse. It will be used for loyalty rewards. It could also be used for payment. We will not mandate Comet, the name of the currency. We will not mandate it to be used inside the metaverse because we want to give freedom of choice to our community members and users. But definitely it is one of the payment means. This is the website for it. Definitely soon, within about a month and a half, it will be launched on distributed exchanges, so that our users can benefit from the accumulated coins. Okay, we built the city, but the city has, as you've seen, 8 different verticals. It is impossible from day one to have all the 8 verticals or 8 different business sectors operational on the metaverse. So we've built the city, but we're focusing only on the Salam as stage one. Salam is a telecommunication company. This is their website, and we're converting them. We're moving them to the metaverse. We're adding immersive experience, and I'll show some of the ideas. And there is many reasons for that. The telco companies have lots of resources, whether it's data centers, whether it's expertise, a human expertise, whether it's connectivity and what have you. But right now, they compete on the sale of 5G, edge computing. Some of the other telcos, possibly they do AI like us, possibly they have office advancement solutions. So we want to leverage these offerings and services by adding metaverse experience to it. We're not going to do it alone. We want to co-create the metaverse along with other telcos, financial institutions, and any interested partners. If I spend a few seconds on specific services, the edge computing definitely is very important. We all know that the metaverse is hungry for bandwidth and also storage, whether it's memory or hard disk. So we want to utilize the data centers we have and the hardware resources we have to provide the required resources to our users, so that we don't have to dump or shift that load on the end user device. We want the device to be as light as possible. In the background, we will do all the heavy computation and all the heavy rendering and so forth. Security definitely is very important. It is important today, but definitely with the metaverse, it will become even more important because it's not virtual anymore. We will have physical presence. We have avatars that some hackers, some people will target to copy it, to imitate, to do something illegal with. Some people will take advantage of it, being whether because it's new or because of the facilities it offers. They will use it for, say, money laundering or washing sales and all the corrupt activities. So cybersecurity is one of the pillars of our system. Also, since Salam is a telco, not only it offers a lot of products, the products, some of them are our own and some are products of partners. Like, if I give example for the handsets, we don't manufacture handsets. So we have partners, they manufacture the handsets. We bundle them with some of the services that we have. So the marketplace we have is for our services, our offerings, our products, and also for partners and other companies to utilize our marketplace to promote their and sell their services and products. Again, this is the theme, like I said, for the entire Orbit metaverse world is realistic, and it's based on it is using the GTA 5 as the model. This is not a digital twin of Salam showrooms, but we want it to be as close to reality as possible. Notice
could you please finish in a minute, because we already 1 minute past. Yeah, so
sorry. Okay, I will run quickly. Yeah. I will move faster.
Yeah.
So my apology, I lost track of this slide. We want them to feel like they are home. where eventually in phase one right now, it is single player, but for the full production system, it will be multiplayer, meaning not only several customers can exist in the same showroom, but also customers can interact together. It runs on all devices, including low-level telephone sets. In the region, just two minutes, in Dubai, there was a wedding that was done virtually on the Metaverse. So for those who doubt the Metaverse, it is real. In the kingdom where I am residing, the kingdom has announced the allocation of $6.5 billion for this technology. And NEOM is one of the leaders in this space. Thank you very much, and my apology for losing track of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Husam. I think it is very important, presentation, because you mentioned about the responsible metaverse building. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to tomorrow. Is like responsible is very important, and then starting in the metaverse is responsible, like inclusive security is very important topic. So if you have any question to his presentation, could you please leave the question in the chat and he will give you answer. Okay, so without any delays, the next will be the Antonio. It's very important presentation about how you generate metaverse autonomously. I'm really also very curious about how you can do that. Antonio?
Yes, thank you so much for all of you. And thank you for the invitation. I share my screen. That's it. Yes, with the sound and with video. So,
Yep, good.
Good. We're starting with our quote is the Metaverse the ready-to-go metaverse. What means that? Means that we are a lot of experience to generate metaverse really since years ago, a lot years ago. And we're starting to work with the mixed reality in general 6 years ago. And what's happened today that we are integrating all the devices in our platform to generate metaverse. And all the devices means not only HoloLens, mixed reality, HoloLens, virtual reality, and so on, but all the devices. Also with the Lenovo headset or Snapdragon Spaces devices already launched 3 weeks ago from Qualcomm. Who is Hevolus? Hevolus is a company based in Apulia in Italy and is specialized in research and development of a conventional digital customer experience journey. What means that? That what we saw with storytelling of experience for the customers through HVS, through Metaverse platform. We have several awards, but in particular, we are very proud to have Satya Nadella that talks about us 5 or 6 times to present our solution, to launch a present our solution, in particular for Natuzzi, for Ferragamo, and other really important customers globally. And today we are not only Microsoft Gold partner for mixed reality, but also we are early adopter for Snapdragon Spaces for Qualcomm. Go quickly. And the point is this one. Our platform has a CMS, and with the CMS you can create every metaverse, because every 3D artist that can generate any files in 3ds, FBX, GLTF, any files, we convert everything, we upload these files inside of our platform, and as a Minecraft, you can create your metaverse with all the features already have in the enterprise. After we present you some video. This is the logic. Every device you can enter in this experience with every device is the final customer, the end user has, because our market is not a metaverse, but is rehabilitate every customer to create their own metaverse. And this metaverse can connect all with them through a tunneling. This is our customer, and we work with a really important Italian automotive sports car worldwide, and Ferrari and so on. And this is a real project already launched for the metaverse. This is one of the logic. In this case, you can, I started from this video. This video was launched for Camera della Moda. Just a moment. And in this way, you can see in which way is the storytelling. We mixed storytelling of fashion with the historical part for Italian painter.
The National Chamber of Italian Fashion welcomes you to its multi-brand virtual showroom. This virtual showroom is a metaphysical architectural project inspired by the TiiQu paintings and the influences it had on the history of Italian culture. In this concept, the evocative suggestions of the return of Ulysses merge with the wonderful synthesis of Giorgio de Chirico's poetics and formal pictorial lexicon, the rhythm and proportions of classical architecture, the iconic strength of solitary mannequins, and the elusive power of the sea, a deep and lively fluid subsoil. The virtual fashion hub market is a precious container in which essential shapes are composed by following a linear system. A walkway over the water is the path you will build your experience on by discovering young designers, the promise and future for new craftsmanship in fashion. The National Chamber of Italian Fashion celebrates the sustainable designers with this space that focuses on the metaphysical.
So, we're starting from this metaverse, and the point is that in this case, it was created 1 year and a half ago. The point is have a web metaverse where you can enter without problem, without also authentication. You can meet, of course, other people in case you have the authentication. But the point that everyone have an asset can enter in the same geography. But our focus is starting from the web. Is exactly as Minecraft. That's the real point. Because in case the people starting from the headset, from HoloLens or from also other headset, the people and the customer is afraid to starting in the metaverse. That's the reason that we transform this application, in this case with adding Babylon.js logic, that everyone can have the possibility to create his metaverse with the several converter to upload any format, 3D files formats in our platform. And after you create your metaverse without any problem, is exactly like a normal editor. Another use case is for museum. And in this case, you can see also the possibility to using spectator view. Another one is this one. This is what launched with Satya, in particular for Natuzzi. And in this case, we create a platform. It's the same platform that you have a lot of digital twin, and in the store of Natuzzi, the people can see the real object that is not possible to have normally in the store. I show the video.
Advantage of how the experience in the store with this operational backbone that they've built can change retail. And another example of this is Natuzzi, a fashion furnishing store out of Italy. In fact, they have a store right here in New York where they have the entire catalog available virtually. And the beauty of what they're doing is they're using mixed reality and augmented reality to change what even the retail experience looks like, because their ability to be able to say, you bring your house into the store, and in fact, you can take the store into your house. So the ability for you to change what your expectations are in terms of inventory availability, how you design what you want and configure what you want, and then place it where you want before you even decide to buy, is changing. Let's roll the video to give you a flavor for that.
Everything started from a dream to create upholstery design and visual comfort. I work with craftsmen and artisans in finding the best stitching, the best color, the best way to give shape to these dreams. And so here we are, using Microsoft HoloLens 2 and Azure Cognitive Services, giving consumers an idea of their ideal homes in a way that makes them fall in love. We let them walk their home virtually. We give you the emotional side that makes you feel that, yes, I want to buy it. It gives us the opportunity of showing the collection without boundaries. We've been quite fast in translating a vision into something real. When you see what you dream then came to reality, that makes our tears and passion worth the time that we spent.
And I think in this case, it's not important the technology that we use, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, is the experience that you can do through the technologies. But the platform is exactly the same. The asset is in the same CMS, and you can have the same CMS several experience. Also, if you can connect by web. The last video is this one.
An impeccable blend of craft and innovation converge into Salvatore Ferragamo's special Tremezza shoes. The traditional handcrafting process combines with innovative and smart technology to create the future of craft in an exclusive made-to-order service. From the comfort of his home, the client can access a virtual space to meet the store assistant and see various options to customize the classic Tremezza shoe in a rich, interactive experience on any digital device. With the mixed reality technology, this unique customization service allows the client to browse among Tremezza models through the eyes of the store assistant in a real-time digital experience. The client can add his personal touch to an emblematic house icon, creating his own masterpiece.
This is the point. This picture is the point. The customer enter in this metaverse without problem, enter the metaverse, choose the shoes, but in the same time can call a sales assistant to meet him and customize together the shoes. My focus and our focus for Hevolus is not really important which type of technologies. It's important what you can do with augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality. To arrive to have also this typology of metaverse is totally web in this case, that you can walk, of course, with legs or without legs, depends. In this case, is a walking with the web. In this case, you can move, you cannot move the hands. In case you're using normally, yes, it's that you move normally the hands. Of course, with legs or without legs, it's the same for us. But in this case, you can meet your people inside of that. And what's the situation? The assets are the same asset that you see before for Natuzzi Ferragamo. You have the same CMS, and you can have several experience, depends on the sector of the company, because we cover all of the situation. And for the event in particular, and I closing, I think I am not a lot of more time, and we're closing about this video. This video is for university. Is we allow every professor with the same platform to present something that is not possible presented during a normal lesson, thanks to to the spectator view. And you have the mobile phone that record the professor. If you see the professor without mobile phone, you don't see nothing. But in this case, you see the professor and what the professor managed. And imagine during the fair, during the lesson, during several experiments, what is important, for our opinion, have the possibility that everyone can enter in this experience, in this journey, also with the normal web. In this case, this spectator view is not only web, it's WebXR, because you can also move and place the experience at all. Thank you so much for your time. And it's important for me, this last slide, to understand that we have one platform is CMS, and with CMS you can cover completely every dimension of the enterprise. You can have web space XR is a web experience in XR. You can have prototype XR, production XR, collaboration, store, fair, and mentors. But all of these products are connected in the same with the same platform and with the same CMS. Thank you so much for your time, and see you soon, of course.
Alex, you're on mute.
Alex?
Okay, so thank you, Antonio. Yeah, so I sorry about that. I was mute. So I think this is very important that like providing like experience is much important, and then your platform is provided to make easier to build up the metaverse environment to provide that kind of experience. And you mentioned it, and then technology is very important, but very important is how to provide the experience. So if you have any question, then you can leave a question. Okay, so next will be the Rolf. He is about this is another one very important topic, because he will provide enterprise grade no-code virtual reality platform. So his platform will be another important that providing to build a metaverse without any experience in the code working or something like that. Okay, so Rolf, could you start?
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. It's my pleasure to present my company called VRdirect to you. As you can tell, it's a no-code virtual reality solution for enterprises. So we really want to enable enterprises to get started with what will eventually become the metaverse. And we have heard a lot of great solutions already today. The idea of our platform is really to enable enterprises to create content themselves. So our hypothesis is that in the long run, many enterprises will have a lot of use cases, and they won't be able to commission an agency to create this kind of content. So they're looking for a solution that they can integrate with their standard operations and can handle with their internal teams. So in a nutshell, what's our solution doing? It's very easy, basic. The use case is very simple. It's a very easy tool to create interactive 360 content. The best way to think about it is a PowerPoint for VR. And then the second thing is it's a very easy way to publish this content, meaning to share this content with basically anyone around the globe in real time. We'll look into that in more detail. Again, the key USP of our platform is it's super easy to use for basically anyone without any prior knowledge. So if you take a step back and think about what the metaverse market, aside from us here in this call, but the big players in the market, what the market looks like, and you'll find that market is very fragmented at this point in time and highly incompatible. So you have ecosystem that's operated by Meta, you have an ecosystem that's operated by Sony, ByteDance, with Foxconn has its own VR headset manufacturer. Valve just announced that they're going to build their own headset. So the reality for most enterprises who want to use the metaverse is it's very tricky at this point in time, because for a large enterprise, it's very difficult to place the right bet on which ecosystem to support. And to our experience, that's a big roadblock right now when it comes to large scale rollouts within enterprises. And that's exactly the tricky situation and the problem that we are looking to solve. So being more precise, enterprises have understood what they can do in terms of metaverse projects, in our case, primarily virtual reality projects, but they need to find a way of creating and sharing their ideas in an easy and internal way. So what does our platform look like? Basically, our platform consists of three building blocks. The one is a very easy creation tool. Again, the best way to think about it is like PowerPoint. So it's a software that anyone can install on PC or Mac. It's also available as a web-based version. And it's very intuitive. So even if someone doesn't have any prior experience of working with that kind of content, you will still be able to create content very easily. Once created, you would upload the content in our cloud environment. So we operate a cloud CMS that is very performant. It's basically a real-time cloud CMS. And from that cloud CMS, you're able to share the exact same project across a number of ecosystems. Right now, we're supporting distribution of content to browser, to iOS and Android devices, also the Meta, Pico, and HTC ecosystem. Of course, we will look into supporting other ecosystems like Apple, Microsoft, and HP and Sony when they become relevant for enterprise customers. So we focus mostly on large-scale enterprises. So these are all customers of ours and use our platform as their standard VR solution across the organization. What we typically do is we operate the entire workflow. So you can see here this little app icon. That is the internal VR apps within these organizations. That is a white label version of our distribution app. So the way it works is at Siemens or Nestle, Porsche, we went through all of the IT security checks with our platform. We're now have an internal rate card with all of these enterprises. So now if you want to create a VR project internally at all of these organizations, you're asked to do that with our platform, and only unless it cannot be delivered on our platform, you can use some other provider. And the individual departments will then obtain an individual license from us. So it's really meant to be a global solution for a large-scale enterprise rollup. We have customers all across any industry. So if you're interested in any kind of specific industry, I'm happy to share more insights in another conversation. The use cases on our platform are on a wide range. So we see a lot of use cases in HR-related areas, everything from employer branding to onboarding to training to safety trainings. So that seems to be a very prominent use case. We also see a big use case in what we call infotainment. That is like transferring information, like enhanced virtual tours, what I would call it. So virtual tour with additional information. We also see a lot of attraction in sales, marketing, and event-related use cases, as we've already heard also with previous speakers. What we also do is we build entire custom white label solutions. So we've done so for Deutsche Telekom. Deutsche Telekom has its own virtual reality offer, which is called Telekom VR Tour. It's only available in Germany. As you know, Deutsche Telekom is focusing on the German-speaking market. It's a very lightweight web-based product offer that is tailored towards SME customers. It's a very low price point in this case, which is meant to be an upselling offer for Deutsche Telekom to its SME customer base. We can build entire products for strategic partners in the look and feel and in the design of our partner, and can integrate with all of our partner CRM systems. So coming back to the advantages of using our platform, again, it's super simple. You can basically create and share VR projects in minutes. So no prior skills necessary, no training necessary, or let's say very, very little training efforts needed. It has a high level of compatibility. Of course, in our industry, it's not possible to support like any VR headset that is out there. Therefore, it's too many and too incompatible. But we support like the customers, the relevant ones. And also, it's you can exchange and collaborate very easily within your organization. So you can create content together with your colleagues or with any other partner. In case we have any enterprises here, we obviously understand the situation of enterprises quite well. We have quite an extensive experience of working with enterprises. So the typical roadmap that we go with enterprises is to have a joint workshop to identify VR use cases. We totally understand that at a lot of enterprises, there's a need for the first showcase projects to really be compelling. So we support them in terms of production and advisory on consulting. And then we typically find the right setup for an enterprise scale rollout of the VR software. And that's it. You find my contact details here. Thanks again for your attention and hope to have some conversations after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rolf. I have one question because you know that I have a lot of experience that kind of the no-code platform, especially that my recent experience is digital twin, no-code platform, and I have a lot of the experience, not just using the no-code. I have a lot of experience, for example, using the Microsoft Azure digital twin framework. So I have my own coding using that, but even with my experience, I had a lot of difficulty using. They claim that no code, but actually it's not no code means that I can use the pre-existing a platform and then Windows and put it like a CAD type, but still require a lot of the work. So how about yours?
Yes, I mean that's a very fair point, and there are a lot of solutions out there that claim to be like a no-code beginner platform, but typically they are not necessarily beginner, but rather professionals. We put a very big focus on keeping the platform and the usability of the platform really easy. So that's in the core of what we do. That means you have to have compromises in terms of the range of features and the set of parameters that you can offer to customers. But we do a lot of focus groups and do a lot of feedback circles with our customers to ensure that it can really be used by anyone.
Mm-hmm. So, and do your platform actually also connect to any specific XR device, like VR device?
Our platform is tailored to VR devices. Mm-hmm. So we don't support a device like a HoloLens or something. And within the space of VR devices, we support the Meta Quest 2, the Pico Neo 3, and the HTC Vive ecosystem. So these are the VR headsets that we support with a native app. I think that's very important. Of course, if you're just using a browser environment, you can claim to support many more VR headsets. But frankly, if you're an enterprise and you want to have a training course that is like 4 or 5 gigabyte in size, you don't want to do this in a browser environment. So it's very important to have native apps for these ecosystems, because only that's the way to ensure an optimal user experience.
Fantastic. I think that the industry will really like your platform. I bet.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So if you have any question, then you can leave a question in the chat and then Rolf will give you answer. Okay, so now we finish all the presentation of the first part of this roadshow. So we will take, because Rolf provide a few minutes free space time, we can break. So we will break a few minutes. And then Isabella will take over and then she will moderate the next part of this roadshow. Okay, thank you for everyone. And then we will start in a few minutes.
We should organize a party next time for this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know that because initially we were planned like go this roadshow in the Metaverse meeting platform like that, but because of the time limitation, because we're planning for the 2 months, but by some reason we start late. So yeah, next time.
Next time we
we'll have a party in the Metaverse. Yeah. Okay, so my lore is end. So next the lore will be Isabella. So Isabella, you can start anytime, and then I will break.
Enough for you guys today, right? Need a break after an hour or something. So we're taking a few minutes break, or we can just kick it off.
It's all up to you.
All up to me. Oh wow. Yeah. I just saw another Isabella joined, by the way. Okay. All right. I guess everyone it's, kind of busy during the weekday, so I'll get it started so we don't miss anything and we leverage our time smartly. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Laura, for hosting this and invite me to be part of this. Thank you, everyone, for joining this as part of this frontier. Very interesting topic. All I was thinking it's about what the world was going to be, not just the technology, the sharing from all the awesome speakers. And by the way, my name is Isabella, and I'm the author of the book called The Digital Mind of Tomorrow, which will be launched in July 12th, 2022, in just about 2 weeks. And I'm very excited about that. And I'm also the founder of a company called The Digital Thinker. As you can tell, thinking a lot. So it's a thinking company that aims to shape the digital culture for humanity. And I'm also a partner at a company called Creative House. It's a digital agency with focus on web development, lead gen, and digital strategies. So enough about me. I know you're all waiting for the awesome speaker presentations. And for the second half, we'll start with Alexandr. Alexandr, are you there? Alexandr Boronin, who is, hi. Hi. So, who is the CEO and the co-founder at CollectiveWeb. And Alex will present Metaverse by focusing on 2 topics. Number 1 is high quality interactive web experience for enterprise meetings, education, and presentation. And the second topic is about Metaverse as a utility NFT for Web3 market. That's all I know about what Alex is going to share. So now, Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Isabella. Thank you, everyone. Hope I'll be able to show you something new in terms of the metaverses and tools you can use. 1 second. I will launch the presentation. So the problem we're with at the moment that online meetings are not so cool as offline meetings, especially when they're held in Zoom, because it's hard to communicate in groups, because most of you sit in silence all the time of the events, and there are no many opportunities to talk. And actually, web now is a very lonely experience, and metaverse at the moment are also little bit primitive and simply not enough serious for big business with low quality 2D, 3D avatars, and sometimes it's app you need to install, and sometimes you need device to use. So we decided to merge two big technologies, Zoom and Metaverse, together and create spatial video face-to-face communication inside virtual space and make it work inside the browser with amazing high-quality graphics to make it secure, engaging, and ready for Web3 and blockchain market. So there are some moments and some spaces which it used, what it looks like. We use Unreal Engine, so we can provide really virtual and high-quality graphics. For instance, in some cases, we can recreate the whole area of part of the Dubai, or create special virtual environment, which is the same as a real one. We use our own state-of-art cloud-based technology, which pixel stream everything from the cloud to user device with no lag, and we created our own video communication system, which allows us to host up to 30 people in one room and 1,000 at one event. So we can make authorization used via MetaMask, Google, or Apple, and we have lots of everything inside, and it's super easy to use. For instance, it shows you how it connects. You just use the link, then you put your name inside the system, and here you are inside the video and virtual metaverse, and you can easily walk around. So it gives much bigger communication opportunities than in Zoom, and much more memorable user experience. So our vision that soon companies will need not more square meters, but more virtual machines to host the users online, because to create such an experience, we need cloud machines, which works for our users. And we think it's time where NFTs should also change for utility virtual spaces, because it's possible to use our solutions as utility NFT as well. We already have different use cases for big corporations, and it's virtual exhibitions like we did for WOW Summit in Dubai. We created the central part of Dubai with Burj Khalifa, and created big NFT gallery for almost 600 people, completely virtual twin of the event. We also made, it's possible to make big exhibitions which can be quite huge. For instance, in this one, there were 30 worldwide brands and more than 2,000 visitors per day. It's possible to create a completely white label places like we did for deadmau5. It's very famous London-based artist.
Oh, one moment, Alex.
Yes.
Looks like your slice is not moving. Ken brought it up. Yes. Maybe you want to reconnect, close it. So we were staring at the same slide this whole time.
Wow, so sorry, because it's so strange.
No problem. Tech error. It happens all the time when we're in the tech world, right?
Yes.
Now,
do you see something now? Do you see something now?
I see WOW Summit, Dubai, NFT.
Yes, that's the example of the WOW Summit area we recreated. So sorry, I really saw that we're on the same pages, but
apparently we understand you. Thank you, Ken, for brought it up. I was looking at it, but I thought that's on purpose or something. Okay, sorry.
Yes, because it's really important to show the graphic and the use cases we have inside our metaverse, because otherwise it's not possible to understand the difference. So we definitely have a very special quality, and we created lots of specific worlds. From this one we created for the mouse, and it was based on the cartoon animation he made, and we recreated the world. This example is from the e-commerce. We are working at the moment with few NHL and NFL companies and inside the USA, and seeing that it's possible to completely recreate the virtual shopping experience where you see salesperson inside, maybe legends which help you to say. We collaborate a lot with big technology companies like Illenberger, NFT artists, media artists, and do amazing projects with them. It's quite easy to start something with us because we can use, we can create a branded space for your needs very, very simple.
Sorry, Alex.
Very, very fast.
You're
Again,
slow.
really?
Oh. Yeah, why don't we just look like this? We don't mind to see all your notes.
Sometimes it's really hard to use the Zoom.
We have to use what is called CollectiveWeb, right? Is that why you're doing it on purpose? We have to use yours.
Actually, it would be definitely different experience, a completely different experience from what we have here, because we are all on the one page. We can move here, cannot move around. We don't see each other, cannot talk to each other in person, and it's really. Let me try. Maybe does it work?
Ooh. Let's see. Maybe you can try to play it around a little bit to see if it moves.
Yeah. It's
finally.
a web page. It's a web page. There is no one inside, but you saw the way the video avatars looks inside. And here we can have completely spatial audio and video communication. So we can have a virtual store here. I can connect and reconnect to any screen inside. We can put completely immersive, interactive virtual objects. It's very easy to move, like with a simple click or with arrows. It's very interesting experience talking about the art, for instance, because we can be in other parts of the world and see some art pieces together, discuss them in real time, and do lots of different things here. It's super easy to produce the video content inside because we have screens, we can easily connect speakers, we can easily connect guests here. And first of all, it's the way the web would be in its new generation, where it's high quality and we can completely recreate real life inside these virtual spaces and recreate business inside these virtual spaces. I think it's enough because I'm not sure that the presentation is worth
Alex, oh, that's so funny. You sure? You sure? You showed us everything because you still have quite some time. About like 5 more minutes. You sure, right? Let's leave no regret. You shared everything.
Actually, we have lots of different experiences inside our metaverse. Sometimes we use it directly for webinars or for events like this. And I think we just started because at the moment, the world works inside the offline business usually. And inside the web, we just use some parts of it. For instance, Zoom communication, we don't think about it as a day-to-day environment we use, like we just, and because in our system we really enter some space, we visit, we see each other, we have a memorizable experience. It's super cool for concerts or some closed different clubs and stations. So we're very open for any kind of partnerships. We have really one of the best technology inside the metaverse, inside these 500 metaverses, which are on the start now. all the world places and all the world companies. Maybe someone have any question.
Thank you for hosting for me, Alex. Oh, sorry. Did someone say something?
I just ask about that. Are you still in Bali in Indonesia?
Yes, at the moment it's almost 2 a.m.
That's because of your technical problem. You're in a good place, right? It's too much good place.
No, I think Alex did it on purpose. So he can show us how powerful collective Web3 will be. And we have to try it, Laura, next time. That's Alex's main message. He stuck 3 times on purpose. I'm kidding. So Alex was right. There is a question from Amy. Is it decentralized? Is it? I guess when you were showing the 3D space on the screen.
We have our spaces. Some of our spaces are on the blockchain. Some of them are centralized. It depends on the situation. We use our platform because we have enterprise users like big oil companies, and they prefer everything to be centralized on their servers. But we will launch completely decentralized platform later this year.
Awesome. Any other question? And again, everyone, feel free to type down your notes or questions in the chat session. We'll take care of at the end of the sharing or throughout the conversation at the end of this roadshow. All right. Well, Alex still deserves about 2 more minutes. So I have a question to chip in. 3.0, Web3, Web 3.0. I saw both on your slides. Is there any difference?
I think at the moment Web3 means that you can connect somewhere using different types of your wallets. It's not the traditional types of authorization. It's different types of authorization. First of all, you when you are authorized, the system knows that you have or don't have any kind of assets or entrance opportunities, because in our system you can enter and you can have opportunity to enter the entire metaverse via the NFT or to special place. So there is a big connect, number 2. And number 3, it when it's completely decentralized, when you don't have when you have another architecture of the data, first of all.
Okay.
I think we're on the step 1 and 2 at the moment. Not completely Web3 project.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. We'll give you a break. I know you can't stand the stuck. You're free to go for now, except answering maybe questions in the chat if we have some. Thank you so much, Alex. We enjoy the chat. Thank you. Alrighty. We move on to the next one. Dante, you're back. I was anxiously looking for you. I'm glad Laura grabbed you back.
Yeah.
Thank you for yeah. I know you're excitedly waiting. Thank you for waiting there. Now it's your turn. Thank you very much for joining at this talk on behalf of SolidBlock. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So Dante today will share about innovation at of metaverse and reality, Web3 NFT applications. I'll leave the rest to Dante before I spoil too much. So now the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to kick us off here. Can you see what I'm sharing? I'll put it full screen for everyone, and hopefully
Dante's traumatized.
I know. I'm a little nervous after the last presentation.
Yeah, you're jumping.
Let me know if you can see what's going on.
Let's play a few slides just to make sure it plays along.
Yeah.
It looks like yours works. So Alex was
Amazing.
on purpose. Yeah.
It definitely was on purpose. Let me know. Let me know if it stops working at any time. I'd be happy to come back on.
It looks beautiful.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Isabella, thank you so much for that introduction. Really, really happy to be here. Like you said, I am here representing SolidBlock, which is a company that specializes in sort of connecting digital assets in the digital world with real assets and the world of reality. And so I do have to warn you, we're going to start off with this conversation talking primarily about NFTs. And I know that all of you are here talk about the metaverse. So I promise that we'll get there. The way NFTs are a really, really good starting point when having conversations about the metaverse, because oftentimes they act as your keys, your tokens, and your gateways into this entire amazing new metaverse community. So that's sort of where we're going right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, SolidBlock specializes in taking digital and real assets and connecting them with virtual and really that digital type of experience. And so we first started off with real estate tokenization. We tokenized this Aspen St. Regis Resort in 2018 and have since really worked in the hospitality industry to connect the hospitality people with the Web3 people and really advance those experiences within the hospitality realm. So what we're focused on today is really creating your own digital assets to give your members, your hospitality customers, a better or more active experience. And so when you connect these two communities, the hospitality community and the Web3 community, what you're able to do is better sell to customers from around the world, better create that brand awareness, loyalty, the engagement, and you're also able to improve the things that you sell upon, right? When you think about the hospitality industry right now, it's really, really based off of community and off of rewards. That's why you have a Marriott credit card and all of these different loyalty points from various different hotel chains. And the Web3 space is also built around those same community principles. And so combining the two is a very natural experience for all parties involved. So what we've done is we've been able to turn nights, like hotel stays, into crypto NFTs. So most recently, SolidBlock was responsible for the US's first hospitality-based NFT when we turned hotel stays at the Nomo Soho Hotel in New York City into an NFT. So the Nomo Soho Hotel minted its own NFTs. All of that was facilitated by SolidBlock. Now you can go on the Solid Spaces website or OpenSea or another type of marketplace, and you can actually buy those stays at that hotel with your crypto. Okay, so for the hotel itself, again, it's a new way to create revenue. It's a new way to increase your occupancy, and it's a new way to enhance brand loyalty because it allows you to offer a more tight-knit community, better experiences than you would be able to on the typical Web 2 platforms. Let's see if, there we go. Whew, had a scare there that I wouldn't go. So continuing on that, NFTs is a really, really large market, as is hospitality. Right now, the NFT market sits around $25 billion, and about $10 to $20 million worth of NFTs are sold on the blockchain each week. So it's a really, really big space that these hospitality players are getting into. And when I say hospitality, I mean like hotels, resorts, things like that. And what we really want to focus on is sort of those luxury hospitality spaces, those upper ends of resorts and hotels, because those are the ones who are really, really focused on offering their customers the highest level of experience possible. So, you know, you're very, at least in the near future, you're very unlikely to see your budget hotels offering these NFTs, but you might see those upper echelon, those 4 or 5-star hotels offering NFTs because it's a way for them to engage with you at a much higher level and offer you a much higher level of service. So we've been talking a lot theoretically. This is theoretically what blockchain and Web3 and NFTs can do for hospitalities, but very much so, this is happening in the real world right now, not only within specific use cases like the Nomo Soho Hotel, but also it's something that the hospitality industry in general is aware of. So for example, like the VP of Marriott, one of the largest hotel chains in the entire world, says that in 2022, we'll aim to continue building a presence within the metaverse where it aligns with our branded marketing goals. So the metaverse and getting involved with Web3 in general is very, very much on the minds of all of these executives, because they understand, again, it's a very, very natural next step in connecting the hospitality industry with the customers, with the experiences of the future. So I realized I skipped over sort of what the hospitality NFT is in general. I imagine because all of you are here, most of you are relatively familiar with the metaverse, and I hope that most of you are relatively familiar with NFTs. NFT is a non-fungible token. Think of it as a digital token that in this case will grant you access to specific things. And so the hotel creates an exclusive collection of NFTs. All of this stuff is on the blockchain. We use the Ethereum blockchain for all of our NFTs. And we're big advocates of Ethereum for that respective. And what it allows you to do is unlock access to real world and metaverse hospitality experiences. So if you're familiar with NFTs, you're most likely familiar with projects like the Bored Ape Yacht Club or Mutant Apes or something like that, where the artwork is very, very important and it'll get you access to a few different things. All of that is great. But what we started to see in the industry is sort of a transformation into what's called utility-based NFTs. So people now are no longer looking to buy NFTs simply so that they can have it on the blockchain and have it as their profile picture on Twitter, right? They're looking to gain real world value out of the NFTs that they buy. And so that's where utility NFTs come in the picture, specifically within the hospitality industry, because again, it's connecting that digital asset that you own with a very real world, tangible whenever you want. And so again, you're able to attract global buyers. You're able to increase your occupancy, which is like the #1 metric for every single hospitality venue. You're able to increase your brand loyalty, your brand awareness, offer accelerated services, and you're able to unlock new opportunities, right? Very, very few people right now in the hospitality space are even considering experience in the metaverse. And so they're going to be really able to level up what they're able to give their customers. So how does it work from the hotel side of things? If you are someone who's in the hospitality industry, if you know someone who's in the hospitality industry, this is the exact sort of process that they would follow when interacting with SolidBlock within the Solid Spaces program, which is where we're creating these hospitality NFTs. So you would create a unique series of NFT, a unique collection, and you would upload a JPEG. This can be anything from, a picture of your resort to art that's created by someone in your community. We not only want to make these things utility-based, but it's also nice to make the NFTs beautiful as well, just because it's helpful in the marketing and the sale, as you guys probably know. You're also going to select the number of buyers of NFTs to be minted. Part of sort of bridging the gap between the digital space and the real world is that we need to understand that there are real world restrictions. For example, a resort only has a certain amount of rooms. A hotel only has a certain amount of occupants that it can have at a given event. And so we need to be very cognizant of that. Next, choose the number of nights per year. We really want to, and as I go through this, I want to think about this, is that we really want to be able to fully customize the NFTs to what the hospitality organization is looking for. So that means everything from customizing how many NFTs are there, to how many nights per year, to the number of years this NFT could be active, et cetera, et cetera. So again, giving that hospitality organization the full control in what they're doing also is just an added incentive, to buying into sort of the NFT metaverse sort of play within the hospitality area. So what does the buyer get? I think for me that this is most intriguing, because when I first heard about this idea, I was like, okay, what's stopping me from going on Nomo Soho's website right now, or any other hotel's website, and just buying 3 nights, as everyone has done for the last 10 years. That's how the system works. It's not broken. Why do we fix it? The reason that we're getting into this is because we're able to offer customers an additional level of not only utility in terms of what the hotel can give them, but also in terms of flexibility. Here's what I mean by that. So, here's a list of all of these different services that hotels can offer with these NFTs. Of course, this is just adding to the benefit. And like I mentioned, we're working with a little bit more luxury brands who really want to go above and beyond to serve their clients. But there's one thing in here that I really, really want to focus on, and that's the selling side of it. Imagine that you're going on a vacation, that you book a 3-day stay on a tropical island. If something like, I don't know, a global pandemic happens and you need to cancel those nights, what you can do is, instead of canceling it and getting your money back, maybe what you're able to do is actually sell this on the blockchain for someone else to redeem that night stay or whatever amenities you have there. So for example, if you're going to a conference and something gets canceled, you can sell your stay to someone else who might be going to that conference. They can take all of those benefits that you want and you receive all that. Additionally, and what I find to be most exciting is, let's say you buy a Nomo Soho NFT for ETH New York, which is happening this weekend, and you can no longer go to ETH New York. When you buy it, you may have bought it at 1 ETH or whatever it may be, but now, because someone who's in a pinch is looking to go to a conference that's been hyped up a lot, or people are looking forward to going to this conference, your stays may be worth more to that person. So it's possible to even make a profit off of the hotel stays that you booked. And so again, that's just some inherent value that the NFTs provide. And of course, Web3 and blockchain marketplaces are already providing the infrastructure that you can use to sell and swap these. But for me, that's some of the most exciting perks of having sort of this hospitality-based NFT. Listing sites, like I mentioned, NFT Stays, which is sort of the brand that we're working with under SolidBlock, will be providing a lot of these NFTs, but they're NFTs. They're on an open source blockchain. You can use these NFTs and you can sell them or swap them on OpenSea or any other number of websites that enable this type of functions with NFTs. Very, very flexible for the buyer as well. So why you are all here, the metaverse. This is the play that we're talking about. You got to see in the last presentation some really, really beautiful art that came along with the metaverse. So what I want you to imagine now is that Marriott or Nomo Soho or something like this adopted that type of experience, adopted a fully immersive metaverse with beautiful surroundings that you can go in there and interact. So the NFT can act as a key, can act as something to open the gate into that metaverse. The NFT that you bought from Nomo Soho to get your physical stay there can also unlock a variety of different metaverse experiences that Nomo Soho puts on. So we talked a lot about, how do we take this hospitality experience and improve upon it for the people who are staying at the hotel? The metaverse is how we do that. And so these hotels are really, really eager to improve upon their experience. So what they're doing as we speak is building out these different metaverse experiences for their customers. And this can be anything from like, okay, we want to go to a concert that's hosted at the hotel. Maybe, our favorite DJ is there, to, we want to go in and maybe the gift shop of the hotel is there. This is how you order your room service. The opportunities within the metaverse connected to the hospitality space are really, really endless. And that's something that makes me personally very excited. So this is something that is being launched now, something that's in practice now, something that large hospitality firms are focused on building. So I would not be surprised if you see stuff like this popping up in the next year or two. So keep your eyes open for that. I know that I just threw a lot of information at you very, very quickly. I'm a fast talker. I'm excited about this stuff, so I apologize for that. But here's my contact information. You can reach out to me at dante@solidblock.co. My Twitter and my Telegram are at Dante Reminick. I am always very, very happy to have a conversation with anyone who is building in the space. In addition to working at SolidBlock, I also invest in the Web3 space. I'm building a project of my own. Active in it, so very happy to talk to anyone who wants to exchange ideas, wants to talk about the NFT Stays program. you can reach out to me and we'll get something set up. So thank you so much for your time. And I haven't checked the chat, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
We do. I'm chatting.
Awesome.
I'm chatting for you. Yeah, Sebastian says, great presentation. Value proposition could become, I think he means high. He typed Hugh, but I think it's a typo, high. And we have a question from Sean. Users can sell or swap NFT stays even after using it to book specific dates? Question mark. So NFT stays active for trading until the booked dates pass? Question mark.
Yes, so that's a great question. And there's a few different ways that hospitality organizations can go about this. The first is by simply not booking dates. So for example, if you book 3 days, you can redeem those 3 days for whenever. And so this is the most common sort of approach that we're looking at, is like, you know, you would book 3 days and then you would using those 3 days when you go to New York for this conference, but someone else could also book it and someone else could also purchase that NFT from you and use those 3 days whenever they want. I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you. Correction from Sebastian. He meant huge. Value proposition could become huge. I was going to guess that. Okay. Okay, one more question. Is there a white label we can market as third-party provider? Question mark. From Amy.
So right now, the NFT stays sort of operation is something that as a sort of hospitality organization is pretty much the equivalent of white label. You don't need to use any NFT stays branding with it. So if you want to use, if you're Marriott and you want to use all of the Marriott branding, you want to do all of the Marriott sort of experience yourself, that's fantastic. We are a lot more on the back end to help you facilitate all this.
Awesome. All right, everyone, keep asking, keep active in the chat. Thank you so much, Dante, for the wonderful presentation.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Awesome.
All right. All right. All right. The next guest, Nick, are you there, Nick? I think you are.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm going to share my screen quickly. So,
okay.
1 second, please.
Everyone is testing before we start. So while Nick is prepping, Nick is the CEO and founder at ThirdEy. And today he's going to present about ThirdEye's background and applications in the Metaverse space, about AR/AI platform for sustainable and end-to-end Metaverse applications.
Awesome. Can you see the screen? Fine.
We see it perfectly. If you can maybe swipe a few slides just to be sure we can. Okay. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'll get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Cherukuri. I'm the founder of ThirdEy. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. So today I wanted to talk about the Metaverse. I know it's a theme in the news a lot nowadays, and also what we're doing in the smart glasses space. So I know that's a bit different than some of the other talks so far. So we are a hardware provider as well as a software provider, and we work extensively in the mixed reality space. And we wanted to talk about how mixed reality is going to impact both enterprise and consumers. So feel free to ask any questions. And this will be more a general presentation about how this mixed reality tech is impacting the Metaverse and the world. So some of our background in this space, we've been working in the augmented reality and artificial intelligence space for over 20 years. Our team has lengthy experience with the US government, US Army, Department of Defense. So the highest possible standards we've been working in. We also have a lot of various customers in different industries. This is a pretty varied use case in terms of healthcare, telecom, gaming. So we have strong pillars and are focused on expanding this Metaverse market extensively. So what is smart glasses, Metaverse? How are they related? So Morgan Stanley just put out a recent study saying that the Metaverse is projected to be an $8 trillion market by 2030 and above. And other companies have put out similar studies. So this is definitely a huge market. There are many facets and sectors to this. And in terms of what we're doing in the smart glasses space, this represents a big shift in terms of the computation. So we went from computers the size of an entire room to laptops you can carry around to smartphones and tablets, and smart glasses are kind of the next major shift over the next 10 years or so as technology gets better. And this also includes things like smart contracts and the future of being hands-free with smart glasses. So technology like this is easier to show through examples. So right now, this is a picture of the Acropolis, which is one of the most famous landmarks in the world in Athens, Greece. And what the metaverse can do is build out the world in 3D and really enhance it. So think of the metaverse as something that is like internet in 3D. So you have internet on your phone right now and with basic apps, but now you can enhance it into 3D environment. So imagine you're wearing the smart glasses and boom, now you can view the world in 3D. You can look at different real world objects, get information overlaid on top of it, any digital information you want. So this is really enhancing the entire world in 3D geo-located map. And this has huge potential in terms of what information can be displayed. And smart glasses are considered the tool to view this because you'll be hands-free and you can visualize 3D holograms and things like that. Another example of the metaverse we're seeing it really taking off is in the entertainment space right now, where you can watch content in 3D. So instead of watching, like say, Netflix on a TV or tablet on a small screen that you have to hold or that everyone can see next to you, now with the metaverse, with smart glasses, you can have a much larger virtual screen. So imagine how this could revolutionize the way we process content. You can have 10, 12 different virtual screens placed in different geolocations. So this really changes the way that we can also consume content in the future. And some people predict that we won't even need television or TVs in the future because everyone will have this virtual TV on their head. So this is another application about how the metaverse is impacting different industries, and this is the entertainment use case. Healthcare is another massive area for the metaverse. So right now we have major hospitals using our smart glasses. And for example, the use case we worked extensively during COVID was telehealth. So you had overburdened hospitals, first responder groups, and with smart glasses, you could have frontline medics be hands-free. And we found that they've saved almost 40% in ambulance time by being hands-free, by displaying the relevant digital information they need in front of them, like patient information, patient protocols, we're HIPAA compliant. So the metaverse has tremendous applications in healthcare, and not just from telehealth, but also aiding the vision impaired, people who have Alzheimer's, remote surgery. So this is something that the ability to display 3D information live in top of the field of view is really massive. We also have the US government and military using the glasses, and they have many really advanced metaverse applications in terms of displaying 3D holograms, training applications, and things like that. So how does the metaverse and smart glasses affect different markets? And this is why it is such a huge market, is because it has applications in every sector. In healthcare, we showed and talked about how it's being used in telemedicine, remote surgery, training, diagnosis, even treating people with depression, people who are vision impaired. There are 100 million people worldwide who have vision impaired issues. With smart glasses and being able to display digital information, they can be able to see what's in front of them properly. People who have Alzheimer's, you can wear the glass and they can recognize a family member you may have forgotten and display their name next to their face. Healthcare is a massive metaverse use case. Telecom, wireless providers, 5G, industrial manufacturing, retail, warehousing, being able to scan QR codes and display 3D instructions, real estate, insurance. So pretty much in every sector, from military, enterprise to consumer, there are massive plays, especially in this smart glasses space. Thermal scanning is another huge application we're seeing, where you can really even have a live temperature view of what you're looking at. So during COVID, this was really helpful, even for use cases in construction where you need to see what's behind the wall, what's behind the HVAC. You can have a live thermal temperature read of what's behind. So healthcare is one of our biggest plays, and this is a way to make it more immersive and enrich the way people share and scale knowledge. So this is really going to change the way even things like surgeries happen, because this can reduce the need for really expensive equipment, reduce training time, and it's really precise. You can get surgical instructions displayed exactly where they need to be done. Vision assistance, we talked about this briefly, but people who have cataracts, glaucoma, and different vision impairment, they can use this technology to zoom in, zoom out, change the optical character, OCR, what's in front of them, change the color, what's in front of them. So healthcare is one of the most popular use cases, and obviously it's one of the ones with the most significant applications. Things like bringing up protocol viewing, so airway obstruction, people with asthma, all these things can be brought up into a 3D map on the smart glasses. So something we did is we partnered with AT&T FirstNet. We're the only augmented reality kind of metaverse partner with AT&T, where we packaged their FirstNet cellular solution with software, telehealth software with the smart glasses. So this offers a very low latency solution for healthcare for first responders. For law enforcement, we're working with them in the military, where you can wear the smart glasses and get digital information displayed of where you need to accurately shoot in different settings. This is really useful for the military as well. And we work with many different use cases here. So some of the big metrics we've seen in terms of the smart glass metaverse use cases is almost a 40% reduction in task time by letting a technician be hands-free, wear the glasses, get digital. 80% of the world uses their hands while they work, so there's a huge business use case. We're just at the beginning stages of tapping this. We're helping with the environment because with reduced travel and the ability to display holograms, you don't need the real world travel and real world 3D displays. And also improvements in mental production and assembly quality issues. So definitely we've seen some tangible benefits to make this a strong business use case. So we talked about this, where this technology is progressing. We're just at the very early stages of this. Things like Google Glass, we're not even barely tapping the power of this tech right now. It's gotten way more advanced. You can display 3D holograms. You can do much more advanced application on the smart glasses. And this is really going to become the future of computing. And we have many patents in the space. We've sold to over 20 plus countries, in both in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. And we develop the software and hardware, so it makes it easy for the end customer. We have many use case videos. Our team's happy to give anyone a demo of the different applications. We're featured in ABC News about our telehealth use cases. So it's pretty limitless, these type of metaverse use cases for smart glasses especially. So this is just at the beginning stages of this technology. We're trying to get distributors in as many countries as possible, so feel free to reach out. And we already have a presence in many locations worldwide. We're trying to tap into 5G especially, so we're 5G partners with many of the telecom partners. With 5G, you can display 3D holograms and with much lower latency. And this is something that is needed for really advanced metaverse applications. And one big thing we're trying to do is focus on the environmental benefits. So things like the augmented reality teleconferencing platform, where you can have 3D avatars of your conference partners instead of actually having to meet in person. That's something that can help reduce carbon emissions footprint, eliminate the need for unnecessary employee travel, and provide the workforce with new tools for collaboration. So we're trying to really help with the transportation and traveling sector. So this is one of the biggest current emissions in the US. So we're trying to help reduce that, and we're seeing tangible benefits. So these are our smart glasses, and this is something that are entirely hands-free. You wear them on your face. Think of this as a phone on your face. You wear them on your face and you can get any digital 3D information displayed. So it has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, it's Android-based. Any Android app can run on it. So we also have consumer use cases. We're coming out with our sleek consumer glasses, which you can watch like entertainment, TV, and more consumer gaming use cases. And this is something where we're partnering with TV networks, so you can display different TV screens and really enhance the way you get content to yourself in this next generation of technology. And remote telepresence for tech, big platform where you can have a technician get any instructions they need with the live annotations displayed live on top of their field of view. So the applications here are pretty limitless. So we have over 100 plus applications. You can display 3D CAD models of virtual houses, so you can visualize your CAD models before you go. So we're seeing it, and we have software partners in almost every industry. And we tried to enable 5G enhanced augmented reality with edge computing using artificial intelligence, computer vision, machine learning. So we're remaining at the cutting edge of this tech. So yeah, that's a high-level overview of what we're doing in the smart glasses metaverse space. And wanted to just give a general overview of what we're doing.
That's it, Nick? That's all? Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Awesome. Thank you, Nick. We have an interesting question here for you from Chris. Chris asked, will a new form of government need to be created for the metaverses? Seems too important for only a few to control.
Yes, so let me actually go back to one of the slides. Let's see. So there will definitely be new laws passed for the metaverse, especially with the privacy concerns and issues that come up with privacy. So that's something where we're working to enable end-to-end encryption on the smart glasses so people can directly access your feed. They can have privacy constraints on their glasses. And also we're doing things like the camera is not going to be directly accessible. It's going to be hidden. So that's something where for consumer use cases, the camera on the smart glasses should not be enabled because then people just don't want to be walking around recording everyone. So that's something where we're working on enabling better privacy for that. Here, let me slide. So we're working on enabling better privacy for that on the government side. And that's something, there's going to be a lot of work done, definitely laws passed to fight against that on the privacy side.
Thank you. And Amy is asking about the price point of the glasses. I think I saw a $699. And what are the prices for the glasses?
Yes, so we have different smart glasses for different use cases. So on the enterprise side, because they're much more ruggedized, they have to much higher end certifications. The price point is about $2K, which is lower than what Microsoft HoloLens or some of the other players are. On the consumer side, we're trying to keep the price point to similar to a phone price point, so under $1,000. We also do a lot of white label solutions for our partners, so where they put their own logo on our software and glasses and offer that to customers.
Awesome. I hope that answered your question, Amy. And wonderful. Nick, thank you. Thank you for taking the time sharing. I can hear you have a little voice problem, but you still share a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Today, our next and the last speaker who's been patiently and very carefully paying attention throughout the time, the only one I don't need to look for, I don't need to ask because he's all this time. Jake, how are you, Jake?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's fun. I'm from Denmark, Europe. It's 8:20.
Okay.
So
later
I may have a sip of my glass of wine, but good morning to everybody, and then good evening to Bali. Damn, I wish I was in Bali. It's been a while. So this has been really interesting, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to see if I can share my screen first and foremost, and share my slides. But it's been really interesting.
Please do the
let's
test.
see if I can.
Yes.
I can succeed in sharing this.
This is like a protocol now from now on. Thank you, Alex, for starting. Now we need to do this forefront.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how does this look?
It looks good. The corporate
blue?
metaverse. And maybe do a move it. Yeah.
I'll just
Yours is
move to the
moving.
next one. So I learned a while ago, being the last in a long presentation like this, you really need to make sure that you can capture people's attention. So let me start by telling you what I'm going to say, then I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to round up with telling you what I just said. So,
okay.
So I'm going to give you a short
smart.
introduction to myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about the corporate metaverse, which we do in SynergyXR, where we are with that, and what's the status in my point of view. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is SynergyXR and where we're heading. So as Chief Revenue Officer in the company, I'm super focused on what value do we deliver to companies that uses and encapsulates and enables this technology. So, and if any time we can round off with a little Q&A. I'll try to keep an eye on the time, but Isabella.
You don't need me, Jake.
Okay,
you
cool.
don't need me. You're so good. I didn't even do my
Lovely.
job. I have to do this. Let me introduce Jake to all of you. Jake is the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer at SynergyXR. Let's welcome Jake.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. All right. Cool. So let me start off with a caption. Someone said a long time ago, I really don't see much use cases for the internet. That was actually me back in 1994. I was 23 years old. I was in my first job doing some software, hardware sales in the graphic arts industries. Back when we had some heavy equipment and papers were on paper. And so I'm not going to make the same mistake again. So the metaverse is definitely here to stay. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I think that's the case. But I've already heard a few different versions of what is the metaverse. So I'm going to give you and offer you my view of what it is. And you may agree, you may disagree, and that's okay. I think I'm very open to different opinions on this topic. So let's see. The internet as we know it today, or at least up until not so long ago. And now I'm going super old school with some stick drawings, and it's actually my own drawing on my screen. We were looking through a window pane. We were looking at objects on the other side of the window pane. We could see them, but we could not touch them. That's pretty much the internet as we've seen it from 1994 through 2022. Then something happened. If Internet 3.0 or the metaverse or whatever we're going to call it, let's figure that out. But now this window pane has become like some sort of fluid thing. We can poke our heads through it. We can actually interact with these objects on the other side. We can enlarge them. We can do all kinds of crazy stuff with them, and that's super funny. And so we already talked about that already with VRdirect, and there were some great presentations on that. And most people tend to stop when we talk about metaverse when we come to virtual reality, and I think that's a pity, because it's also the ability to grab elements from the metaverse and retract them to real life through augmented reality, and we heard about that as well. So it's both a combination of immersing ourselves completely and extracting objects and seeing my new Nike shoes on my feet, or putting my IKEA furniture in the living room, and we saw some great use cases already. So we talked about that, and then I think there's a third very important element to what is the metaverse, and that's the ability to use a standard phone. This case, it's an iPhone 13 Pro. I can use the little LiDAR scanner. I can scan an object, or I can scan a room with a free app, by the way, Scaniverse, Polycam. There are so many great apps. I can scan an object in seconds, and I can upload it, or I can show it in AR, and we can meet in my living room, or I can scan the inside of an engine on a ship, and we can use that as well. So I think those are, at least in my view, some very important elements of the metaverse: the VR element, the AR, and the scan, and put real life objects into a virtual setting or an augmented reality setting, and have a conversation about that. So that's my humble definition of the metaverse. So SynergyXR, just real quick, we're originally a spin out of Unity, the game engine that we already heard mentioned a few times, along with Unreal. So we're a complete built on top of Unity. We separated the ties back in 2013, and is completely independent from Unity. We are very good friends with Unity, and we have some of the the best Unity developers on our team, I think. So we started out building these custom projects for customers, and our customers are enterprise companies with a need for being able to determine who is accessing their data. So we built that custom-wise and did a lot of projects for some of the largest companies in both Denmark and also outside of Denmark. Most of you perhaps know Maersk, the big container ship company, and other companies. So in 2017-18, we kind of saw, instead of starting from a blank page every time a customer came to us with a new idea, a new project that we needed to develop, we wanted to create this platform and actually democratize this new way of doing training and onboarding and all the different use cases that are able to be put in use. So we did that and have done that for quite a while now, and built the platform, launched it a few years ago, just raised another round of investment from existing investors and new investors. So we're looking at least 24 months of runway to kind of build this platform to something that really is embraced by companies all over the world. Everything is run on Microsoft Azure on our end and building on top of the Unity engine. So what do we mean by XR? And I think I touched a little bit upon it. So we cover a wide variety of different devices and technologies. I already talked about the augmented, the virtual reality, of course, mixed reality with the HoloLens 2. I think the ThirdEy glasses look super interesting. I would love to dive into them and explore what they're looking at, because they look really interesting. And of course, the ability to access virtual reality, augmented reality from a PC or a desktop, that's of course something that's very important to us. On the augmented reality side, we support Apple iPhones. We're kind of, we want to focus on one thing at a time. On the mixed reality, we're supporting HoloLens for now. We're trying to be really like market driven. So whoever wins the race, I would love to see ThirdEy as part of our supported devices real soon. Virtual reality, we're currently supporting on the platform, the Meta Quest 2. Have done custom solutions for both HTC or the Pico and other devices as well. And of course, on desktop side, we're a Windows house and everything you can do from a Windows computer, as well as soon to be launched on a Mac real soon. So that's, we really want to create something that is for the people and not just for a very selected few. So that's what we want to aim for with this whole XR to the people, which is also what we put on our water bottles, XR to the people. And it's not Chardonnay that I'm drinking. So don't.
You sure?
All right, cool. So why is it relevant? And then this is where I think it gets super interesting, because I love technology and I could talk about technology all day long, but unless we can make it relevant to people, then we have a problem. And if we're not relevant, then we might as well just do something else. So there's a lot of these graphs that show how big this market is going to be. And I have a hard time myself actually comprehend these numbers. So I usually skip this slide and go to this one instead, because I can understand what these four guys are doing right now in this metaverse space. And Facebook is I mean, they're spending more money than the entire Danish healthcare system, twice as much actually per annum. So that's a big number. We're 6 million people in Denmark. Apple, I actually didn't realize that XR is the second largest department at Apple, second only to the iPhone. Microsoft, we just saw a little earlier, I think it was 2 years old, that clip where Satya Nadella was talking about Ferragamo and Natuzzi, a great case, by the way. And then, of course, Google is beginning to pick up the pace after they did some very early stuff with the Google glasses. they got a little scared, and now they're back in the game and investing heavily into what's going on here. So that's going to be super interesting to see what these 4 people alone, and we didn't even mention a few others. Some would miss Jeff Bezos on this slide, but there's a lot going on in this space. So I think we're going to see something very interesting. I'm looking very much forward indeed to seeing the Apple glasses that are very hyped, and when will they come? And everybody is looking forward for that. And let's see what the future brings. At least for us, it's super important that we're device agnostic and we can choose the technology that wins the game on the long run. So we're really adamant about creating technology that is device agnostic. So the XR adoption, I'm going to skip this slide as well. I mean, at the end of this year, we do expect to see some really adoption going on, but let's see, could be early beginning next year. But there's some trends that indicates that we are that we're on moving in on the more steep curve on this slide. So the value, these corporate metaverse, as we tend to call it, because we like to call the metaverse open for all, but when we talk to corporate metaverse, it must be open to all, but by invitation only, and you decide who gets to see whatever you want to show them. So that's kind of our definition of the corporate metaverse. But what does it offer? And let's have a quick look at what we're talking about here. So one thing that we can document over the last many years is that we are able to, through VR, to accelerate employee training and onboarding. We have a great case with a very large Danish manufacturer that documented we could bring onboarding time from 6 weeks to 4 days from a new employee started to they actually started producing, in this case, water pumps, and we're being producing output for the company. So in this case, we're able to input top line of company. And if we're not able to have that conversation with companies about how we can impact either their top line or bottom line, we're not relevant. And then we can come with all the great technology that we want, but if we're not able to really impact the business of the companies we talk to, then we have a very hard time in making ourselves relevant. So this is one case where we can really document that VR metaverse is making a great difference. Another one that we've talked about already a few times is the reduction of travel expenses. I mean, we can say a lot about Corona and the pandemic. It taught us how to actually keep online meetings because we were all forced to do that, and it takes us a far way. Zoom and Teams will get us a long way, but this whole idea about being in the same room, and I really, this is to you, Alex, we should do this next time in virtual reality. That could be fun. Let's talk more about that. But being in the same room just creates a completely different setting of having yourself immersed in front of a screen and looking at a lot of different faces. But so we tend to keep all our sales meetings in virtual reality because we're scattered all over Denmark and sometimes we're abroad. And being in the same room, it just gives another dimension to having this conversation. So here's another great use case for companies where we're able to reduce the travel expenses and the CO2 emissions. And by this technology, we can help making this planet a better place and perhaps bring it further down the line to our children and make sure that there's something for them to have a great look at. And so the final and thing that we focus on in our messaging is how we help production companies minimize downtime. And production companies could also be offshore wind companies that if a wind turbine is not producing energy, that's super expensive. If you need to repair it on the ocean, it's very, very expensive. If you can teach people to actually tighten the knots on shore or make sure that if there's a production line in Mexico that suddenly stops, we can remotely add in an expert from Denmark and help that production line getting back up to speed so that the downtime is minimized and the cost, the financial costs of that are of course minimized. And we don't have to put engineers or people with heavy knowledge about production lines on planes and buses and spending too much time on hotels away from family. We can simply have the experts actually sitting remote and making sure that whenever there's a problem, we can attend to it right away, really quick. So those are those three use cases that we look into when we talk to companies about this great technology that we're helping them embrace and start using. So we do look into a lot of growing problems, and I'm having a look at the time. How does it look, Isabella? We
you have a few more minutes, let's say.
Okay, cool. So I just want to address a few high-level problems that companies all over the globe right now are facing. We see some worker issues and employee problems. We at least in where I'm from, we see a lot of people that are getting older and older, and in not so many years, they're out of the workforce. And we need to capture all that accumulated knowledge and make sure that the next generation are able to capture that knowledge, not only by reading books or listening to tapes, but by immersing that into a VR setting where they can actually use that knowledge and apply it to their next job or next setting. So there's a lot of this retention of knowledge and making sure that it stays. From the production side, we see a lot of machinery downtime. It's so expensive that you can't even put a number to it. We see a lot of heavy equipment companies within our customer portfolio. They really want to minimize the human mistakes. They want to make sure that they have safe work environments, and they really want to cut away that unnecessary travel, both from a financial perspective, but also from a employee perspective. I mean, it's hard to be away 200 days a year away from family and spending time in airports and on hotels. So we want to address that as well. And then there's this company issue that, hey, everybody is forced to kind of reduce their CO2 emissions. They want to save on travel costs. They want to I mean, we're looking at a new workforce of millennials that are not perhaps spending 20, 25, 30 years within the same company, but are perhaps 2, 3, 4 years at the same place, and then they move on to the next place because they want this free spirit mentality. And how do we make sure that we can retain those generations of new employees? Well, by introducing great technology and a great environment for them. That's definitely a part of attracting this young workforce and then making sure that they stay on board instead of just moving on like nomads. So those are the problems that we're facing, and the reasons that companies really need to embrace this corporate metaverse is that they want to really control the data. They want to be able to offer a remote workforce, and that's also, I mean, we have one of our developers is just taken a few months remote, not on Bali, but in Thailand, and he's going to be working remote, and we can enable that through technology and through the metaverse. And like I just said, the knowledge raise, how do we actually make sure that we capture this accumulated knowledge that workers have been collecting all over the years, and make sure that we can distribute that throughout the organization for the next generation. So those are some of the reasons that companies really need to have a look at to embrace this corporate metaverse. So finally, there's 3 problems, and we want to address those with our platform. It's too expensive. They don't have skills. They don't have Unity developers, and they really don't know where to start. So a lot of companies come to us and say, hey, how do we start this? And we help them identify a use case, and we carve that out, and then we make sure that that's a success, and then we can expand within the company, building on top of a great success within the company already. But we want to make it sure that companies can start using the corporate metaverse within days instead of months and tens of thousands of dollars of investment before they start to have something. So it's a couple of days, and then you're started with our platform, and then you can start putting perhaps your own scanned 3D objects into a room and start have a conversation about that. So we want to address that, and I think we're doing pretty good in that. Hang on, something is happening here with my final slide.
Oh, never seen this
No.
before. Is this on purpose as
There we
well?
go.
So we
No.
have to join your metaverse space. Thanks
Yeah,
for
exactly. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of this talk. And here's my dog, and he's also the company dog. So we use him as a therapy dog when customers are not being fair to us. That happens, fortunately, very rare. So final thing, I want to really I want to share that our CEO Mads, he's doing great little updates on LinkedIn, showing what we can with our technology, and it's super old school and very low key, but it actually gives a great view of what's possible today. So where did that take us time wise?
we ended time like
right.
3 minutes ago.
Okay.
You have something, definitely share maybe in the chat the links or something so we can look
Sure.
it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
and everyone, you have some time before we end to jump in with the questions for Jake. This is wonderful, Jake. Last but not least, and as Sebastian type in the chat, last presentation finishing on a strong note. Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jake. Thank you all. And thank you, Alex and Laura. Now I'm turning it back to both of you.
Before that, actually, I'd like to thank Jake because SynergyX, he mentioned about SynergyX CEO, Matt, was our previous speaker. And then he promised that he will join our event, and then he kept the promise. And then the thing that actually is I put his time is last because I was mistake because Matt initially introduced SynergyX CMO, and then he said like, oh, there may be some time problems, so he reintroduced Jake again. So I assume that he's in the United States, and I look at his profile, and I look at it's California. Okay, perfect. The California is like 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's still noon. So I assigned him in the last slot, but there was an advantage that you can take more time than others, right? So I personally thanks, and then also personally congratulate SynergyX recent the successful fundraising. So yeah, thank you for everything. Okay, so I think that we done everything, and then that Sebastian already mentioned that his time is around 4 a.m. now. So he spent a lot of his whole night is spent, and then he said that he enjoyed. Thanks for that, and then maybe that there are a lot of people are in still because we joined a lot of people initially, and then leave and then come back again and something like that. So. But thanks to everyone to I think that they join and then share their insights, especially speakers. I also learn a lot from the speakers and also like a lot of the great question in the chat. And then we will have a few minutes more we can go. So maybe Laura and Isabella or other speakers or the participants can have a chance to talk, right? Otherwise, we can let up. Laura, it's up to you that you can let up. Yep.
Well, if nobody wanted to add anything, I will certainly wrap up thanking Alex and Isabella for their work and all our fantastic speakers. I learned a lot. And the first thing that I learned is that innovation is here. Is happening. Now, what is still missing is a sufficient level of awareness of what is possible and how far we can go with making life better and more advanced for everyone. And this is only a matter of making the information available to everyone. So that we don't take 10 years, as Jake said, for embracing innovation. it can happen much faster, but is a matter of allowing everyone to access the information, trusted information that is at the base of your work as innovators. So the first thing that probably an innovator is responsible for is providing to the wider public sufficient information for them to take informed decisions. And this is a matter of knowledge management and possibly decentralized knowledge management. So I invite everyone, of course, to contribute knowledge in Wikipedia. It may be the new way for everyone to learn and to embrace innovation or to build their own reputation as innovators. And thank you again, Alex, for your fantastic participation and organizations, and Isabella, you added to our talk. Alex, I think you agree, the feminine touch that was missing. So thank you very much, Isabella. And thank you very much to everyone for participating. See you the next, follow TiiQu Talks and be part of the TiiQu network. And let's make innovation and trust the norm for the future of everyone. Thank you.